Yo, yo, what's up, family? Hey,
Hello.
hey. Y'all already know what time it is. It's Thursday. Time to get a little sharper. What's good with you? Hope you're having a good week so far. You staying focused, making it do what it do. Um, we back here this week. Talk again. See who I got hanging with me. My beautiful wife, the doctor. Dr. Deborah Sims is hanging with me. But hey, look, we've been rolling with James. This week we're supposed to be talking to James chapter 4. Not talking, speaking. Well, I said that. Well, anyway, this is uncut. Okay, so, but we're supposed to be going James chapter 4, but feel led to not go to James 4 this week. Every time I tried to read it, I got halfway through it and had to stop. Um, because I wanted to speak about something that I felt led to talk about. And I'm not sitting here acting like I'm some type of doctor or anything. We're not, even though she's a doctor, we're not that type of doctor. We're a medical doctor. Thank you. Yeah, but um, we want to talk about something that affects all of us. And every week I'm on here about going for your goals, going for your dreams, and making things happen, and challenging yourself, and getting out your comfort zones, and just trusting God and making some moves in your life. Because of better than right now, we believe is coming, and may already be here for some of you guys, and getting even better. But along those lines, the reality is we all have to deal with some things that makes us uncomfortable. And it tests us. It tests us in so many different ways. And so it's something we all have to deal with. And we want to just come on here and talk about these couple of things called stress and anxiety. It's something that we all have to deal with. It's a struggle for us sometimes, and it comes in so many different ways, so many different types of stress, so many different types of anxiety. Um, and reading on it a little bit, you know, basically I was like, what's the difference between stress and anxiety? And it's not a whole lot of difference. I mean, they're kind of synonymous, but at the same time, there's a slight difference. And again, I just got this through reading because I'm not no medical doctor. I'm not a mental doctor. Don't profess to be. But what I got from that is stress is a response to some form of a change, demand, or threat, which can affect us physically, mentally, emotionally, and or spiritually. But with anxiety, what they said was the difference between that was it was like fear or worry or nervousness. Okay, um, and when it comes to stress, they said sometimes stress can be good because it can push us to action. Okay, it can push us to action, make us do some things to change it, change our situation. But prolonged stress can be damaging. Okay, same thing with anxiety; it can be damaging. Okay, prolonged. But I'm gonna turn the floor over to my beautiful wife here. Let her speak on this. But we felt led to talk about this because again, this is something that we all have to deal with. We all have to tackle in some way, shape, or form in our life. And we never know when it's gonna come. We never know when it's gonna pop up, and then sometimes we do know. But for the most part, it's something that we all have to deal with. And just felt like it was something that we needed to speak about. I felt led to speak about. So, um, ooh,
Oh, well, I mean, I agree with you with your definitions of stress and anxiety. And unfortunately, is very prevalent today, especially in the younger population. They're really going through, they're really dealing with stress and anxiety of life. I don't know the exact cause or reason. I'm sure it has a lot to do with just the way the world is now and the demands that we place on their lives and the exposure that they
the
have
exposure. Yeah,
experienced.
yeah.
They have been exposed to so much. I mean, horrific things, and so it's causing a lot of anxiety in the younger population. I know for me personally, I feel that in my anxiety sometimes is caused by post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD, which means you can think about something that you've experienced in the past that was horrific, and it will produce the same feelings in you when you think about it, even if it happened 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Um, and so you're going to experience those same emotions, anxieties, worries, fear, physical manifestations, everything, as if you are actually experiencing the event over and over again. A lot of the anxiety is triggered by past events in your life. Um, and One of the things that I, for me, I don't even realize that I'm going through anxiety until I quiet down and I, you know, go before God. And all of a sudden I notice that my character is not like his character. I'm anxious. I got a lot on my mind. I think about the 5 million things that I've done just in that week alone. I think about the 5 million things I've done over the last 10 years, etc. And I feel like the spirit reminds me, you got a lot of anxiety going on inside. You know, you you know the spirit helps me calm down and helps me get to that place of relaxation and trusting in God and giving it all to Him before I get up from praying. I find myself just giving it all to Him because that's what He wants us to do. There is no way that our human body can take all the things that we go through. There's just no way. It's so much. So we have to have an advocate, to or a person to give it to, and that to me, that's the role of Christ. He said that He will take our burdens away, and so that's my stress reliever. That's how I deal with anxiety, by giving it over to Christ to take care of.
So, um, y'all see, this is her show this week. No,
No, it's
I'm
not.
just joking. I'm just joking. Y'all know I'm just tripping, right? But look, that's good stuff that she just said. And I mean, we on here every week. We talking about, just trying to live our best life, trying to go for different things and achieve different levels in life, and just trying to not to settle for little bit. Let's just go for it. Let's just live our life, right? But the reality is that we have to deal with stress and we have anxiety. We have those moments. We have those times. I don't care who you are. I don't care how saved you are. I don't care what church you've been to for the last 50 years, or even if you haven't been to church. We all, at some time, some point in time, have to deal with stress, have the anxious moments. We all have them. And so we have to deal with them. And we live in a world right now where everybody is wound so tight. Just ride down the street and look at the person riding beside you, right? You know, don't look at me, okay? But anyway, but don't look at me, but look at somebody
Don't
else.
look at okay.
But the reality is that people are wound so tight because of the stress of life. You know, you're always under a microscope, and then social media doesn't help. Even though I think I talked about it last week, is where social media can be a good thing, but it also can be a damaging thing because we see what other people are doing, we see what other people are getting, what other people have, and then our mind starts to go where we want to have some of those things, and so now we start adding on to what we want to achieve instead of thinking about, okay, God, what you want me to achieve, what you want me to do, because you know if we really seek him about what it is he wants us to do, his burden is going to be much lighter than the one that we put on ourselves. Okay, that's the reality. And so that's the reason why we come on every week talking about Christ and talking about trying to get hooked up with him so that you can know exactly where you need to go, what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it, and who you need to do it with. You got to get hooked up with him because he's going to show you the way that's going to be. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy, but I promise you, his way is gonna be much easier than your way. It's gonna be much easier than your neighbor's way. Gonna be much easier than your homegirl, your homeboy's way, the way they think you should do it. Okay, so again, with this stress, again, we all have to deal with it. Okay, it is a part of life. Okay, now again, as I said earlier, that can stress, believe it or not, stress can be good. Okay, for a short period, very short period of time, but it can be good because it can spark you to action. It can push you to do something instead of sitting idle. Sitting idle gets you nowhere fast. Okay, gets you nowhere fast. But sometimes, just think about it. When for those in school, you had that paper that had to be done by, so although you probably procrastinated, but still, nevertheless, you had a paper that had to be done by a certain time. You felt the stress, okay? You felt the stress, but did you get it done? Yes, because that stress that said, hey, you better do this right now, or it's going to be even worse if you don't, right? So the repercussions of you not doing it spark you to action, right? Sometimes we get distress on our jobs, and sometimes we need it because sometimes we get a little what's the word I'm looking for? Chill, not chill. That's not the word I'm looking for. But we get a little complacent, okay? And so sometimes stress comes to get you out of your complacency, okay? And so um, we just wanted to touch on this thing, and I'm not saying we're gonna do it all justice tonight. We might come back and talk about it again next week. I don't know. I'm just This is what I felt he led us to talk about tonight, and I wanted to bring her on here because uh, she probably can speak to you as she did, which I expected. She spoke to you a whole lot different way than I would. Okay, but it's something I just wanted you to start thinking about and understanding that this is a part of life. It's a part of life that you have to deal with, and in this world that we live in, where we talk about mental health and mental fatigue and a lot of mental stuff going on, please, that there's a reason why that is. Okay, because we get inundated with so much stuff every day. You listen to the radio, you look at TV, you look at social media, then you got to deal with the reality of your home life, that you got to go to work and handle business so y'all can eat, and that you got to pay bills, and you got to take the kids to the soccer practice, baseball practice, football practice, cheerleading practice, swim practice, all them different practices, right? And then you got your own things you got to do and want to do, and then there's just not enough time in the day. That's enough stress right there, right?
And then you
So
got then you have 10 passwords and
there,
passcodes
there you go.
that you have to remember in the course of one day.
Now, how many passwords have you had to type in today, right? So all this stuff gets piled on, and I always tell you, the battlefield is in this mind of ours. Now, if you think about all the stuff that we remember, such as all them passwords, if you think about all the stuff you remember you have to do, the 10 million things you have done, and then the 10 million things you still got to do, and then you got somebody else that want to come and add some more stuff to your plate that you ain't even asked for, right? So we got all this stuff going on, and we wonder why we stress. We wonder why we anxious. Okay. Now you know I'm gonna give you a word to go with, and so I'm gonna give you that word. But before I give you that word, I'm gonna give the floor back over to my wife because I got a feeling she got something she want to say.
Well, another cause of anxiety is, of course, genetic makeup. Um, I take me and my sister, for example, one of my sisters. Um, I'm pretty hyper or high strung, and she is so relaxed and chill. That's just her genetic makeup. Nothing bothers her
You
or
must be talking
worries
about
her.
Yvette.
She moves at a very slow, methodical
Yeah,
pace.
facts.
And so, genetic
Love you,
makeup,
Yvette.
genetic makeup play a factor in that, and also we pass that anxiety down to our children
Yes,
too.
yes we do.
They pick
Yes
up
we
on
do.
a lot of things that
Yes we do.
we do,
Yes,
and a lot of things that we're afraid of. Don't
yes,
go there and
yes,
don't do that, and
yes.
watch your back. And when you get out at the gas station, look around,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
don't go in that neighborhood, and don't hang out with this friend. All of these anxieties we pass on to our kids,
Stressors.
and so they
Yes,
pick up some of that anxiety from
yes,
us as
yes,
well.
yes.
And then, of course, chemicals trigger anxiety. We have to deal with reality. Things like just chemicals, even prescribed medicine and non-prescribed medicine that
Drugs,
contributes
drug use.
to anxiety. And then the last thing I had to say was self talk, the way we talk to ourselves. If we're always downing ourselves or being negative or, talking, calling ourselves negative names, you're stupid or you're dumb or why did you do that or, so self talk plays an important role in your anxiety as well.
Boy, she hit something right there. I had to, if y'all knows, I kind of looked down on that one. Because that's real talk. And look, I'm on here every week and I'm telling y'all, look, I'm not on here, we're not on here as if we got it all in line. Like we checked every box. No. We
No, I'm
again
telling you about my
I'm telling you,
anxiety.
yeah, and while she's talking, I'm over here saying, you know what? Talking and I tell you on here, we talk about power, life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? We talk about that all the time. Yeah, that ain't nothing new. If you've been hanging with me at any point in time, you know you have heard me say that. But yet we still do it, and I am so guilty of it. Let me bowl bad,
Oh.
okay? That's one right there, okay? Anybody that know me, when I bowl bad, y'all already know. So that's an area that I have to work on. That's me. I'm just being full wide open. Here I am. Ron has got issues. I told you I got issues, and that's one of my issues. That ain't it, but that's one of them. But nevertheless, what I'm getting at again, I hope you're getting the point that understand that what we say matters. Okay. Now we do have to deal with reality. Okay. Now, thank God y'all seeing this lady right here, but the last couple of days she wasn't at her best, right? So now, would she sit there and say, I ain't sick. Yet you can't you got a fever and you cough. Thank God it wasn't COVID. She's COVID free. Praise God for that. But nevertheless, her body is going through something, and her energy is sapped, coughing, and in the bed. Right now, if she say I'm sick, that's reality. That doesn't mean you claiming it. That doesn't mean you trying to hold on to it. You just facing your reality. So the same thing with stress. If you're saying you stress, okay, but now it has to move you to action. For her, moving her to action would say, look, I'm not going to work. I'm gonna sit right here and take this medicine, and I'm gonna do what I need to do to get my body well. Right? This is what some of the things you have to do when you're going through those things. And so when you're stressed, you say, you know what? Yes, I am stressed, but now what am I going to do to relieve myself of this stress? Because if you don't, then that turns into anxiety, and now you have these anxiety attacks or you have these panic attacks. And the difference between anxiety, and this is just I'm again not medical, but from reading to get some understanding, the difference between anxiety and a panic attack is something that comes kind of sudden, like out, boom, here. Like example, when so speaking of family, if you got this big bridge you got to go across. Now, the moment long as you don't touch that bridge, you good to go. But the moment you get right up to that bridge, woo, right? Some folk feel that. That's a panic, okay? Anxiety, well, you was feeling anxiety leading up to it, okay? So anxiety kind of builds up, okay? It's something that kind of builds up and then it happens. Panic is something that's kind of sudden. But anyway, let's get back to what I'm saying. Simply put, is that we have to be mindful that we have these stressors in our life we have to deal with. And in order to get through it, to get past it, you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to speak to it. You're going to have to pray, plan, prepare, proceed. That ain't just about getting your goals and dreams. That talks about dealing with stuff in your life that's bringing you down, that's causing you problems. Okay? So those stresses, you have to recognize it, speak to it, pray it out of your way. Action. Action. Go ahead, babe.
Oh,
Did you ever? I'm sorry.
that's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Another good avenue, of course, is talking to somebody, just
Boom.
a
Yes.
friend, etc.,
Yes.
a coworker.
Yes.
Today, I
Yes.
had a situation on the job, and I
Yes.
started to panic because my system wasn't working, and I had a meeting that I
Woo.
needed it for, and
You've been there too.
I talked. I was talking to my coworker, and he said, "Well, why don't you just cancel the meeting?" And because I was panicking, I never even thought that that was an option.
Man.
And it was just a simple. He was so quiet. He was so simple. He said, "Why don't you just cancel the meeting?" And so sometimes, a friend or a person that you talk to can just say something so simple and so quiet, and bring you back in and help you change your perspective of how you were envisioning that thing. And so, sometimes it's good to bounce certain things off with other people.
Still small voice. And then we talking, you hear that. Everybody heard that. If you've been in anybody's church or anything dealing with Christ, you know they always talk about him speaking in a still small voice. Sometimes that small voice again can come through somebody that Christ uses to get to you, because you so focused and you so ah that you can't even think straight. And then the moment somebody just come to you like what happened to her today, and just simply said, "Why don't you cancel the meeting?" That never even crossed their mind, right? You've been there. I've been there. We flipping out. We just gone. And then somebody just simply said, and then they just shut you down, and you be like, "Well, why did I think of that?" Simply put, again, I did a lot of simply puts today, but here, but just please understand, stress, anxiety, that doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. Okay, that's just life.
Naturally.
It's natural part of life. But how we handle it, how we deal with it, how long we allow it to fester and build up, if we don't do something about it, then that's when it becomes destructive, and that's when it begins to hurt us spiritually, financially, emotionally. Um, it all of those leads. It just never any good for us when it's prolonged. And again, as I always tell you, pray, plan, proceed. Pray, plan, prepare, proceed. But first thing is pray. Seek Christ. Okay, seek Him first. Okay, and the scripture I want to give you, and we're gonna sign off with this one right here. It's Philippians 4:6. Uh, Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication. And supplication simply means to plead humbly. To supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Okay, so look, you can do it. He has called you to do greater. There's greater in you. The enemy don't want you to succeed. He don't want you. That's he doing his job is to block you from getting what God has for you. But you continue to seek God. I promise you, a better than right now is coming. We love you. We're gonna see you later next week. We don't know what we're gonna talk about next week. We might be on James 4. We might be back on this. We might be on something else. But nevertheless, if God says so, we're gonna be back here next week, 6:30, making it do what it do. Keep loving on you. Keep encouraging you. Appreciate you. Go make it do what it do. Have a great week.
All right. We love you.